All right, that's a little better. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Torn Tuesday. The OneRing.net is your weekly dose of all things Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, Rings of Power, movies, games, books, exhibitions, lectures. We've had so much activity, and it's only the second week of 2024. I'm looking at the chat room here. As always, we've been doing this show for over 12 years now. And it's usually hosted by Clifford Broadway Quickbeam from the OneRing.net. He's got the night off today. So you just got me and whatever special guests want to surprise us. I've sent the link. I've sent the invite link to a few of our friends of the site. And if they want to pop in and surprise me, I said, surprise me. If nobody shows up, then nobody shows up. But today, you've got me, and we've got news. We've got news on a lot of things. But let's say hello to the chat. The Chiv Knight is there. Aerovandi, Hickey Baby, Steven, Anonymous Girl is here almost every week. It's so wonderful to see familiar names. You know, we love the OneRing.net has been doing events and conventions since 2001, and it really is the best to meet people for real that we only know online, and it's what's made this fandom so special, because whatever intense debates we get to online, when we all show up to an event, whether it's a Comic-Con or an Oscar party or an Emmy party or whatever comes up, we all just get along, and because we all share a passion for Tolkien. Thank you. I like watching your streams. You know, funny story. Y'all may know Happy Hobbit and a fantasy author, Kelly M. Rice, who worked at Weta Workshop with Richard Taylor and edited scripts for Peter Jackson. I've probably said too much, but Happy Hobbit went viral, around the Hobbit years for doing a trailer reaction for the second Hobbit movie, The Desolation of Smaug. And remember, they did a trailer reacting to the trailer when it first posted on YouTube, and then Peter Jackson had the cast on set of The Hobbit during reshoots do a reaction to the girls' reaction. So Orlando Bloom, Lee Pace, Evangeline Lilly. And it was just wonderful, and it went viral, and then everybody knew Happy Hobbit and Kelly Rice, and it's just a wonderful thing. And one of the things, I bring this up because one of the things that always comes up in our Discord, which I highly recommend you join at discord.gg/theonering, people want to be a part of this community and maybe be a more active part in the content creation, and an influencer and whatever. You know, they want to share their reactions and their love for Tolkien and their love for the show and for episodes and for artwork and for games. And all it takes is just set up a camera and do it. You know, Happy Hobbit started with a reaction, filming themselves reacting to the trailer of Desolation of Smaug. And next thing you know, Kelly's living in New Zealand working for Weta. So just start doing. If you want to create something, you know, it's January, it's a new year, it's a new you. Everybody's got motivations to do something new and fresh this year. Nothing's stopping you. It doesn't matter what the quality is. You know, you've got your phones, you've got, you know, if you've got a webcam, just YouTube accounts are free. And you could be a positive light for fandom. And we all love sharing positive vibes and positive news across X and Twitter and Instagram and Discord and the message boards and in our Facebook groups and everything like that. So nothing's stopping you from just being a fan and sharing your fan online. I was just talking with Tea with Tolkien, another wonderful influencer that was part of the London 30, Amazon's London 30, as we like to call them. And her accounts grew thousands and thousands of followers, new followers this year, because she's just a lovely person. So during the 7th has just joined us. Robin is here. Just 3 hours of Justin talking Haladriel theories. Is that what you guys want? Because I can do that. And Haladriel's not a theory. Haladriel is real deal. It's as real as Raylo. And remember, it took until a month ago for Raylo to be confirmed by Adam Driver himself. So, all I'm saying is, give me enough time. Give Amazon enough time. We have yet to see behind-the-scenes appendices in depth. We have yet to have any meaningful interviews with the writing team of Rings of Power. I'm saying, give me enough time, and I promise you, Haladriel will be proven real and accurate and the original intent of the script writers. And something changed during the editing process. Maybe they got studio notes. Maybe the Simon Tolkien got cold feet on having this weird relationship between Sauron and Galadriel. Sauron / Halbrand and Galadriel. That's how we got Haladriel. So, I'm telling you, give me enough time, and I will be proven right. Just like the young Aragorn rumors, it took 5 years for those to be confirmed by Fellowship of Fans. Of all people, to confirm my young Aragorn rumor from 5 years ago, 6 years ago now, was Fellowship of Fans. So, I'm telling you, I'm right. But that's why you love watching this show. Any news on why no behind-the-scenes stuff yet? No news. We don't have any word from Amazon on anything. They haven't tweeted since July of last year. They haven't congratulated any of the 6 Emmy nominations that happened this week. The Emmy Awards were given out this weekend. We'll get into that in a minute. We have yet to hear anything from Amazon Prime or Lord of the Rings on Prime official accounts on anything. So they're not saying anything publicly. And then privately, we have not heard any confirmation of why there's anything. My personal theory, Green Dragon Gossip style, is we've been reporting here on this show that Season 2 of Rings of Power is basically Season 1.5. It's Season 1 Part 2. The scripts for Season 2 were written at the same time as the scripts for Season 1. And and remember, Season 1 was supposed to be 10 episodes, then it got cut to 8. So 2 of the episodes from Season 1 are now in Season 2. And all the scripts were written at the same time. So basically, we just had Attack on Titan, the final chapter, Part 2. That's what's happening here with Season 2. It's basically Season 1, Part 2. And I believe we don't have any BTS information. We don't have any BTS videos yet from Rings of Power because they filmed everything so much out of order and changed it in the edit that they have to wait until Season 2 is out before they give us the full and complete behind-the-scenes story of how this show came together. That's my theory, is that we don't have anything because they can't give anything until the complete Season 1 Part 2 is out. Dave Gentry says, hopefully the writing has vastly improved. Well, Dave, we all hope that. We all pray for that. But like I said, the scripts were written for Season 2 at the same time as Season 1. It's more of the same. And a lot of the rumors, some we're not prepared to share yet, include a lot of the same tropes that were used in Season 1. But we'll get into that in future shows. So all we can hope for is better writing going forward. You know what? And it's still not too late to rewrite Season 2 and schedule reshoots. I don't know if Amazon watches this show anymore. They used to watch loyally. I used to get text messages like, "Hey, you're very wrong on this thing," or "Hey, lay off on that thing." But I don't get text messages anymore. They don't. I don't think they like me. But get season 2 right. I can't stress this enough. Season 2 of Rings of Power has to be great. And if the edits that you're currently getting back in post-production, if they're not the absolute greatest fantasy series you've ever seen for television, start rewriting scripts, start scheduling your actors, take your time, reshoot. Do what you need to do, because this the fans' patience is wearing thin, and we want to love this show. So that's my high horse. James is here. Hello, kids. Higgy Baby says, everyone likes you. You're very lovable. What else we got? Season 2, season 1.5. Anonymous Girl says, just curious about when the first trailer would drop. Well, the rumors are Amazon has purchased a couple advertising slots at Super Bowl. So, if Amazon corporate bought those, they could either make Amazon Prime commercials. They could advertise Amazon Prime NFL Thursday nights. They could use one of the slots for a Rings of Power teaser, like they did last year. There's so many ways that they could do it. Not last year, the year before. So we don't know. We don't have any information. But the fans are hoping that if the show is really going to come out, if season 2 is really going to come out this year, which they haven't confirmed yet, that we would get a teaser trailer at the Super Bowl, which is next month. Correct. So, I don't know. Lincoln O'Brien, I can't wait for season 2. Speaking of season 2 of Rings of Power, let's get into our first news item. According to Rings of Power updates, this actor, previously announced as joining the cast for season 2, his code name for... Oh man, I'm so sorry. I've never heard this man's name pronounced before, so I don't think I'm gonna get it right. Gabriel Akawudikis. Gabriel Akawudiki? Did I say that right? I don't know. His code name is Burns. Chat room. People who have read more Tolkien than me, what do you think Burns refers to? We believe that other code names do reflect in some weird way the actual character that they portray. Not saying that Burns is his name, but does Burns mean he fought a Balrog or he fought Morgoth? In that case, what character? Could Burns be a code name for Glorfindel? No, it has nothing to do with Mr. Burns. That's The Simpsons. That's owned by Disney. And no, Mr. Smithers, there's no Mr. Burns here. Robin says, I actually think this is a joke code name from The Simpsons. I don't think so. T. Tolkien says, Glorfindel. Since Clifford Broadway is not here today, I need someone in the chat room to tell me why Burns would make a good code name for Glorfindel. So while someone types up that response, I will tell you the controversy about Glorfindel. It is, as you know, Peter Jackson does not have Glorfindel in his Oscar-winning Lord of the Rings trilogy. Glorfindel has never been put to screen. He's never been put to screen. I think Nerd of the Rings might have done a video on Glorfindel at some point, and there might be artwork out there. So, Glorfindel was, I believe, did a lot of things in Fellowship that the movies had Arwen do. So remember how awesome, girl boss, coolest thing ever. It was in the trailers. It was in the first teaser trailer. Arwen rescuing Frodo, running on horseback through the forest and through the fields and through the River Anduin, chased by Nazgul. Remember, and I felt like that was one of the most epic things they could do to introduce the bad guy of Fellowship of the Ring. To introduce the terror of this story is to have Arwen on horseback being chased by 9 Nazgul on horseback. That was not in the books. That was not Arwen in the books. That was Glorfindel. Peter cut Glorfindel and gave all his scenes to a woman. And imagine if he did that today, there'd be a bunch of rage tubers saying, "Oh my gosh, Peter Jackson's so woke. He's putting a woman where a man should be." Well, you know what? Fellowship of the Ring won some Oscars, and we all love the Lord of the Rings trilogy by Peter Jackson. Peter was right in that change, and it made Arwen more awesome, and it made Arwen first an action hero and second a love interest, because by Philippa Boyens and Fran Walsh, the writers of Lord of the Rings, they wrote this horse chase with Arwen because they wanted to set up Arwen as not just some damsel in distress, lovelorn, object of Aragorn's affection for the rest of the trilogy. They wanted to set up Arwen as a true badass elf. And they did that. They accomplished it. The first time we ever see Arwen is in the Nazgul chase. So by the time we get to the love scenes and her whole thing with Aragorn, we've already established her as an action hero, and she can handle her own, and she can handle herself. And I felt that was a great change from the book. I know a lot of book fans wanted Glorfindel, and were disappointed that he was not there. So now that is the history of Glorfindel in movies. This would be the first time Glorfindel would be put to screen. Let me scroll up in the chat room and see if anybody has an answer for me. Glorfindel fights a Balrog. According to Garfamau, one of our senior members of the OneRing.net, been around forever, and a wonderful person. And if you ever want to go to Middle Earth, New Zealand, she's a travel agent as her day job. So DM Garfamau on YouTube or Facebook and get your travel arranged to go to New Zealand. That's where Matt Nerd the Rings is right now. Glorfindel fought a Balrog. So it makes sense if he fought a Balrog that maybe he got burned, and Burns would be an appropriate nickname. That's pretty good. RJ McReady says, Arwen was a better replacement for Glorfindel because then Jackson must explain why Glorfindel doesn't contribute whatsoever going forward. It gave Arwen something worthwhile to partake into. Yes. Glorfindel helps scare away the Nazgul. In the Silmarillion, he fought a Balrog. See, this guy is not afraid. Glorfindel is not afraid of the darkest forces of Middle-earth. I love the idea that this is Glorfindel. I love it. And he looks great. Look at that little smirk on him, too. It just looks like he's got the right attitude an awesome elf. Imran says Glorfindel defeated a Balrog near Gondolin. Yeah, the chat room. So do you guys like this casting of Gabriel potentially as Glorfindel? Cecilia is the first one to throw some cold water on this conversation by saying Glorfindel is blonde. Well, Cecilia, elves are supposed to have long hair too. And we've already determined that Rings of Power has made a creative choice that elves are in their short hair phase. A lot of long-haired humans go through this phase, sometimes in their teens, sometimes in their 20s, little buzz cuts, little pixie cuts, little undercuts. The elves of Middle-earth have just decided, hey, we're all going to have short hair for this TV series. So, blonde hair, Glorfindel blonde hair. Is that a deal breaker? Is it? I don't think it is. I like this casting as Glorfindel. Durin the Seventh says the actor's name is Gabriel, like the archangel. Oh, we're getting biblical. And he's likely to play Glorfindel? Lincoln O'Brien says Rings of Power can make Glorfindel any way they want. I like that attitude. See, Amazon, we're ready to go on this adventure with you. Whatever changes you want to make, we're ready to have a good time. You just need to have really good writing and really good storytelling, and it's just got to be great. I think an actor can change their hair color. I don't know if I want a blonde wig on this man. I don't think I do. Hair length is not canonical, according to T. with Tolkien. I'll allow it. I don't think he's Glorfindel, says Anonymous Girl, but I think he's definitely an elf. I think we agree there. Definitely an elf. Otaku Senpai says Glorfindel was very famously blonde. Okay. Is being blonde part of his identity? Is it a deal breaker if he's not long and blonde? I appreciate this. I love that the chat room is so active today, and giving me responses here. I love this. Otaku says, of course, in this show, Gabriel could even be a Numenorian. I don't know. Burns is the nickname. Platinum Wig. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. Platinum Wig. His name means golden hair. Okay. This is what I wanted to get at. Glorfindel, as translated by the languages of J.R.R. Tolkien, means golden hair. Just like Galadriel, translated, means man-maiden. Galadriel's name literally means man-maiden. So, if Glorfindel's name means golden hair, that is a huge tell. Aravani says, Burns could simply be a reference to the character having been through a traumatic experience where he got burned. You know who else had a traumatic experience getting burned? Thranduil. Let's see if we can bring up Thranduil. Thranduil face. Oh boy, Lee Pace, man. That man. That was the best. I would argue that Lee Pace as Thranduil is the greatest casting in all of the Middle-earth movies. Open image and new tab. Let's bring this bigger. I believe the lore in the movies is Thranduil is burned because he fought a dragon. Right? He said, "Do not tell me about the dangers of dragons." I believe. So, interesting that Thranduil is using elven magic to hide his scars on a daily basis. Could this mean that Galadriel and whatever happens in the show could use elven magic to hide the scars of the characters we love? Like, are people going to get disfigured, like Thranduil was here? What do you guys think? Do you think Burns, Gabriel's codename Burns, could be a reference to Glorfindel, or is it a reference to something like Thranduil, who fought a dragon? It is curious. Thranduil does have a streak of cruelty, though, that he did not have in the Hobbit books. Of course, the Hobbit books were a children's book that was retconned. So, Phantom of the Opera disfigured. I think, man, I'm not ready to give you the Green Dragon gossip and some of the stuff we've been hearing over the last year. But I believe that Galadriel will use her ring. Is it Nenya? I believe Galadriel will find out, will find the power of her ring allows her to do what Thranduil does here and shield disfigurement on an ongoing basis. And this is what she uses to establish Lorien and Lothlorien and the secret woods. It's a protected realm, and I believe she finds a way through the magic of her ring that anybody who is disfigured or nearly dead is protected by the power of her ring under Lothlorien. And if someone like Celeborn ever leaves Lothlorien, he instantly dies because he is basically dead. He's dead. According to the end, season 1, Celeborn is dead, or she thinks he's dead. So maybe she finds him alive, but barely alive, and she uses the power of her ring to keep him alive. And from then on, throughout history, she has to use the power of the ring constantly to keep her husband alive. I don't think I've spoiled anything that I don't want to tell you, but that's what I'm saying, is that the magic, the power of Galadriel's magic ring is a big part of season 2. Look, I know you're screaming at me and saying Celeborn's not dead. I'm just going after what the showrunners told us in the show. You guys watched the same show I did. And according to the end of season 1, Isildur's dead. His father is grieving. Elendil is grieving. Muriel is blind. And Celeborn is dead. That's what they told us. Would the show lie to us? To be seen for season 2. Durin says, "We're so starved we'll take any and all Green Dragon gossip." I know you will. I know you will. Isildur died. So that's the Rings Power updates. Thank you for that. Another account, Daily Rings Power, found this tweet from Prime. Hey, what happened? Hold on, I'll be back. What is this? Oh, Zoom is crashing. Weird. All right. I'm kind of here. Prime Video tweeted this 10 hours ago. Look at this. They mention all of these shows. Empire, Everybody Hates Chris, classic show. Saltburn, an Amazon movie. Mommy Dearest. Power, Book 3 on Stars. And Game of Thrones on HBO Max. Why would Prime, who haven't tweeted about Rings of Power since last July, be tweeting about Game of Thrones, the number one competitor to Rings of Power? Why? And Daily ROP says, Prime Video, my brother in Christ, may I suggest that you promote the fantasy show that you spent hundreds of millions of dollars rather than HBO's show? I don't think he's wrong. Come on, Prime. Aren't you proud of your boys? Aren't you proud of your girls? Aren't you proud of your billion-dollar TV show? This is what we mean. Like, we want to carry the torch. You know, we want to, if Daddy doesn't like us anymore, I don't know how to feel about that. House of the Dragon is far better, unfortunately. It certainly has won more awards for it. Speaking of awards, let's go. The Emmy Awards were this weekend. Emmys. Let's go to the website, Television Academy. Awards search. Rings of Power. And as we've been reporting on for what feels like a year, Rings of Power got 6 Emmy nominations. 6. That's incredible for a first season. 6. It got Outstanding Main Title Design. This weekend, these awards were handed out, and a lot of the Rings of Power crew were on hand, dressed up in their tuxes and their dresses and everything for the awards. And let me tell you who won. Main title design was won by The Last of Us. The Last of Us on HBO with Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. Won main title design and main title theme. Outstanding prosthetic makeup. Rings of Power nominated. Lost to The Last of Us. Main title theme. Howard Shore nominated. Rings of Power. Lost to The Last of Us. Outstanding special effects in a season or movie. Ooh, I don't remember who won. Outstanding fantasy sci-fi costumes. Lost to House of the Dragon. Outstanding sound editing. I don't know who won that. Let's see if we can find it. Emmy Awards, Emmy nominees and winners. Select category. Oh, they don't have all the other words. So if we go to sound mixing, sound editing, Prey won for sound editing. And who won for visual effects? Select the category. Special visual effects. The Last of Us. Basically, we lost everything to The Last of Us. The the zombie movie, the zombie TV show on HBO. That's correct. Zap Verasipa. Rings of Power went 0 for 6 at the Emmy Awards. The Emmys are on Monday on television, but a lot of awards were given out this weekend. You know how they like sometimes cut to like some awards were handed out at an earlier ceremony. Well, that was this weekend on Saturday, and out of 6 nominations, Rings of Power got 0, big ring of 0. Almost all the awards that we were nominated for went to The Last of Us, which is one of my favorite shows of last year. It really is spectacular, and it has to do with great writing. It just does. And I think Last of Us also benefited from a story that at its core is about 2 people on an adventure. So the whole story of The Last of Us has a very focused agenda. Compare that to Rings of Power, where they introduced a whole storyline about Harfoots. They introduced a whole storyline about Haladriel. They introduced a whole storyline about Arondir and Bronwyn. There was a lot more going on. So I think it suffered from too many storylines. And unfortunately, season 2 at doubling the cast is a little disconcerting, because this show is already too stacked with people. The Last of Us is on HBO. Should you bother? Yes. I can't recommend this enough. It's not a scary movie. It's not a scary show like Midnight Mass and some of the Mike Flanagan Netflix shows, which are kind of like definitely in that Edgar Allan Poe horror genre. Last of Us is not horror genre. Last of Us is kind of a zombie apocalypse thing. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's kind of the story and the writing is so good. And on episode 3 of The Last of Us, it's kind of what they call a bottle episode, where like episode 3 is a standalone story, kind of unrelated to the main narrative. And it's so good that Nick Offerman won an Emmy Award for guest appearance in a TV show. Nick Offerman is now an Emmy winner for guest appearance in a TV show for The Last of Us for episode 3. It's that good. It's that good that the guest star won an Emmy. And here's the good news, folks. The multi-award-winning Last of Us, the show that beat Rings of Power in nearly all categories that it was nominated for, is now affiliated with Rings of Power Season 2. Amazon has contracted this same makeup and prosthetics team who just won an Emmy for The Last of Us. They were hired for Season 2 of Rings of Power. So Season 2 of Rings of Power now has an Emmy award-winning team working on Season 2. And if that doesn't get your hopes up, there it is. Season 2's prosthetics and makeup team is the same team from the now Emmy-winning The Last of Us. Huge, huge get. They, of course, replace the wonderful, cherished work of Weta Workshop's prosthetics department. So that is great news. I'm so happy for both shows. I'm so happy. I mean, what a challenge to find a quality replacement for Weta, Oscar-winning Weta. And they did it. They hired the Emmy-winning team from Last of Us to work on season 2 of Rings of Power. Incredible, right? That is, yes, they had an Oscar-winning team from Weta, and they got nominated for the same award as Last of Us. And guess who won? The Last of Us. So Amazon, in their infinite wisdom and foresight, said, let's go with, we had Weta, now let's go with the current best. Man, that came out wrong. But you get what I'm saying. What I'm saying is no loss in quality. No loss in quality for Rings of Power season 2. That's exciting. What else we got? Let's do that in a minute. Breaking news today. Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group has announced a long-term deal to develop and produce franchise theatrical films. Franchises include Harry Potter. Franchises could include Lord of the Rings. Franchises could include DC films. But I believe James Gunn is taking control of DC films. So, franchise theatrical films. They have, Warner Brothers has a long-term deal now with, that's right, Tom Cruise. Mr. Hollywood himself. Tom Cruise is now one of the most powerful people at Warner Brothers, who is going to jointly develop and produce original and franchise theatrical films starting this year. Did anyone see Top Gun Maverick? Did anyone see the Mission Impossible movies? All of those movies Tom Cruise has been doing for the last several decades have been Paramount movies. Weird, right? Paramount. So this is a big deal for Warner Brothers to take Tom Cruise away from Paramount. As we reported a few weeks ago, Peter Jackson is kind of preoccupied with Beatles stuff. And he's having a fun time doing it, and he's winning Emmys for it. He might even win a Grammy now. Does Tom Cruise have a role to play in Middle-earth? Because, guys, I mean, let's face it. Tom Cruise knows how to make a big tentpole movie that all audiences can enjoy. So, is Tom Cruise the right guy to be an executive producer of Lord of the Rings? Oh, Susan, I'm not going to say that on the air. The Mummy is a Universal Pictures production. So there's no indication. There is zero indication from this first press release that Tom Cruise is going to be involved in Lord of the Rings. I'm just saying that it is a big deal that Warner Brothers has partnered with Tom Cruise to develop franchise theatrical films. And if you name the franchises that Warner Brothers has, the biggest one, besides Harry Potter, is Lord of the Rings. Cruise was famously in the fantasy movie Legend with Tim Curry, directed by Ridley Scott. So, Anonymous Girl says, I'm having mixed feelings about Tom Cruise producing Lord of the Rings material. I don't expect he would star in everything, but the man knows how to make movies. So, do we want Lord of the Rings to be more pop culture? Because this is how you do it. Do we want Lord of the Rings to go a little further into look, we're in this era where there's not a lot of novels to adapt anymore. All they can do is pluck certain paragraphs and sentences out of the books, out of the Lord of the Rings books and Hobbit books, and build movies around it. So the question is, do we want movies to go a similar route as the Rings of Power, which is they're just making stuff up? But with Tom Cruise on board, his primary agenda is going to be entertaining audiences. Yes, Lord of the Rings is already a part of a lot of pop culture. Yes, Robin says that I've been championing celebrity names to be involved in Lord of the Rings. I still agree with that. I think Rings of Power especially would benefit from a big name star to be in a big name role. So I think there is some value to having star power attached to Lord of the Rings, because we're not remaking the classic stories. We're not remaking The Hobbit. We're not remaking the Lord of the Rings books, but we're telling new stories. So what if Tom Cruise wants to tell young Aragorn, Ranger in the North? You know, hot little 22-year-old, produced by Tom Cruise. Like, he'll know how to make a good, entertaining movie. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I think there's a possibility that things are going to get crazy this year when it comes to Lord of the Rings announcements. I think this year we are going to get some Lord of the Rings movie announcements. You know, I think we're going to get updates on the video games. There's many video games being produced. I think we're going to get updates on season 3 of Rings of Power and the direction that they're going in, because season 3 has been greenlit. It's currently in pre-production right now, while season 2 is in post-production. So I think things are going to get crazy this year. And so I just wanted to flag this early right now, that if Tom Cruise ends up an executive producer of a new Lord of the Rings films, we're not caught off guard, and we see, and hopefully we can see what value that would bring to Middle Earth. And it's going to be a Tom Cruise Lord of the Rings movie would be a certain type of film. And that's okay, because there's a little bit of everything for everybody, you know? Lord of the Rings silly season. That's correct. Speaking of spin-offs, speaking of adaptations, let's go back to what we talked about last week. I found a video clip, or Discord found a video clip. Last week, if you remember, Simon Tolkien is the current head of the Tolkien estate. Simon Tolkien is the current family member involved with Rings of Power. Simon Tolkien is the one making decisions on behalf of the estate for Amazon and for Rings of Power specifically. And if you watched last week's episode, we did almost a whole hour on Simon Tolkien, his background, his modus operandi, his involvement, his state of mind, and the amount of power and influence he has on Rings of Power. Well, here is a video clip from one of those statements that he made that we talked about last week.
What does the family think of the adaptations of Lord of the Rings? And then I don't know if you've seen any of The Hobbit yet.
No, I can't tell you what happens in The Hobbit, unfortunately. I know that would be good. I don't really know about the family, but I know what I thought. I kind of liked the first one, but I think the thing with films is that they kind of have to exist in their own right. And my problem with the films was really that I think Jackson was kind of too faithful to the book. He kind of put too much into it, and so there was too much going on. I would have liked more character and perhaps following his own course.
Interesting clip from Simon Tolkien. There he is, in his own words. We didn't take anything out of context. I know Sometimes people want to think we're a little hyperbolic, uh, and maybe we take things out of context. Well, there's the context. He said it. He thinks Peter Jackson was too faithful to the books. And this starts to explain why Rings of Power did not connect with a lot of book fans in a meaningful way, because they took big swings with under the approval of Simon Tolkien. Yeah, too much Tolkien. It's a weird statement. And if you want, if you want to know more, go back to our YouTube channel, The One Ring Net on YouTube, and look at last week's episode about Simon Tolkien. The conversation starts about 1 hour in, about 1 hour and 9 minutes in. We start talking about Simon, and it's a wonderful, good conversation with Clifford Broadway that takes actual quotes from the Wall Street Journal and from NPR and from this interview here. And you just saw a video of it for real. This is the real deal. So it didn't just not connect with book fans. It didn't connect with fans. It didn't connect with anybody. I mean, people just gave up on the show. That's what I mean about Amazon. You have to get season 2 right, because everybody gave season 1 a chance and then dropped off when it became uninteresting. And the fans could not justify some of the changes being made. And like, hey, does this get any better? And the fans are like, well, I don't know. Kind of, not really. There's a volcano. Season 2 has to be great. Season 2 has to be great. All right. The title of this show that I put up is Top Articles of 2023. TheOneRing.net, of course. Well, let me bring it up. Hey, Thranduil. Man, Lee Pace. I would love if Lee Pace got his own spin-off from Warner Brothers. Or you look, or Amazon, whatever. Like, hey, give me a few more hours of Lee Pace as Thranduil, watching Greenwood morph into Mirkwood. And let me see that dragon battle that he gets scarred at. That's what I want to see. All right. TheOneRing.net, we still post articles. It's not just, The One Ring is not just this show. We still post articles. So here we go. I looked up our top 10 articles from this year. 2023's top articles of this year. Why is that open? Hold on. There is that just crashed on me. All right. It's interesting what people clicked on and what's popular. A lot of these are old articles. Actor Orlando Bloom returns to Middle Earth. That was our number one by far. By far, that was our number one clicked on article. This is from any source. Of course, that is in relation to The Hobbit. Let me see if I can bring this up. One moment. All right. April 1st, 2023. This was our April Fool's joke. Our April Fool's joke, April 1st, 2023. Amazon Studios, this was a joke, but it was our number one article of the whole year. Amazon Studios has announced that Orlando Bloom, breakout star of Lord of the Rings trilogy, will appear in the next season of Rings of Power. Developers J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay confirmed that Bloom will appear in the second half of the season as Orofer, the grandfather of Legolas. So you guys loved this this April Fool's joke. This is April Fool's from April 1st of this year. Our joke post that Orlando Bloom would be joining Rings of Power as Legolas's grandfather, Orofer. A joke. But it was our number one article of the whole year. Folks, this is what I'm talking about when I say Rings of Power needs star power. Like, this joke post is our number one article of the whole year. Obviously, Orlando Bloom is a giant star. He's now married to Katy Perry. He did Pirates of the Caribbean. He is a giant star now. He did Kingdom of Heaven. Director's Cut's amazing. So the fact that this is our number one post of the year is just another example of like Rings of Power would actually benefit if a big star like Orlando Bloom joined the show. The fans want it. Audiences want it. We want a reason to keep coming back to this show. And, you know, if the writing gets soft on one episode, I will keep coming back because, you know what? I really like that actor, that famous actor. I've loved him in everything. I would keep watching it to see what Orlando Bloom does next week. So that's my point, and it's proven with the data. The data shows that actor Orlando Bloom returns to Middle Earth. Our number 2 article of the year. Everything we know about the new Lord of the Rings and rights. This was just a recap because last year was crazy with Embracer Group and TV rights and movie rights and everything like that. So this was just an article that we wrote up in February of last year that explained what studio is doing what, and I think we're all pretty clear that New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers are doing movies. Amazon is doing TV shows and spin-offs. And they've parted out the video games to a bunch of other companies. Our third biggest article of the year. First reactions to Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim. This goes to show that this movie, which is coming out this December, 11 short months from now, this movie is going to be big. First reactions to Lord of the Rings. This was from a report. They showed footage of War of the Rohirrim in Annecy, France, at an industry-only animation festival, and we compiled a bunch of responses that talk about what they saw and everything like that. That is key art of Helm Hammerhand on a snowy pile of corpses. This is key art from the movie. Helm Hammerhand in the middle of winter on a snowy pile of corpses. That man, Helm Hammerhand, whose name becomes Helm's Deep. They name the castle Deep after Helm Hammerhand. He is voiced by Brian Cox from Succession. Brian Cox from Succession is going to be Helm Hammerhand. And again, Warner Brothers knows that big stars make great movies. So there you go. That was our third biggest article of the year. The hype is real for War of the Rohirrim. Let's talk. If we keep going down this list, Tales of Middle Earth, the Magic the Gathering set, Lord of the Rings Lego thing, comparing time, travel, and distance of Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. Warner Brothers renews Lord of the Rings rights. New movies on the way. That was huge news. Our Middle Earth gift guide is always a big hit in the Christmas season. Rings of Power showrunners reveal secrets you might have missed and tease season 2. That is all the way down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, 10th on our list of top 10 articles of the year, Rings of Power showrunners reveal secrets. And then further than that, Viggo Mortensen starred in 2 great films that nobody saw. I wrote this article. And then, of course, the Tom Bombadil rumor that happened. Viggo Mortensen starred in... Look at that. He's still wearing the same shirt. He did a movie for Amazon Prime called 13 Days. I recommend it. It's about those the cave divers that rescued those Thai boys. I believe in Thailand, Singapore. No, I think it's Thailand. 13 Lives, about the underwater cave explorers that saved the boys. It's an incredible story. It's an incredible movie. There's a good documentary on Netflix as well, but I recommend watching the movie with Viggo Mortensen first. And then, of course, Crimes of the Future was a David Cronenberg body horror movie where in the future they figured out how to get rid of pain. And if humans can't feel pain anymore, they start growing body parts on themselves and disfiguring their bodies, body mutilation, because no one feels any pain anymore. Weird context. It's for a certain type of person. During the 7 says Lego Lord of the Rings film was another April's Fool's joke. This is correct. So 13 Lives, please. Look at that. 86% tomato meter, 94%. Someone in our Discord did point out, look at this. This is a Viggo Mortensen feature film that was nominated for Oscars. It has 500 ratings. Someone in our Discord pointed out today that Rings of Power has 25,000 ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. So the amount of attention that Rings of Power gets is more than 10 times. It's like 100 times more than a giant Oscar-nominated feature film starring Viggo Mortensen. 25,000 ratings. So 13 Lives. And where was that? Where was that article that I just saw? What was the other article? Oh, Rings of Power showrunner secrets. This was from January of last year. This is an interesting article. You want to find it. If you go to our website and just search for Rings of Power secrets, it'll show up. You might want to bookmark this for season 2. People, because Patrick McKay says, I hope after the last episode airs, viewers watch the whole season again, which is now a different experience. So, chat room, is that true? Is Tea with Tolkien still here? Because she's watched it like 500 times. Is watching Rings of Power a different experience on the second rewatch? The other part of this quote, which was really concerning, is we were concerned, Patrick McKay says, we were concerned about a situation where part of the audience steeped in lore, us fans, is 6 or 7 episodes ahead of the characters. If deception is an important part of the journey, we wanted to preserve that experience for book readers too. I think that was a poor decision on behalf of the showrunners. I think that was a poor decision that disconnected the fans from the material that they were adapting. By saying that we didn't want book fans ahead of us in the show, then the book fans have nothing to look forward to, and they abandon the show, and that's how you end up with a 37% completion rate. 37% completion rate is specifically tied to this quote, that the showrunners did not want the fans to be ahead of the show. it's a disrespect to our intelligence and our fandom and our reading. Like, make a good show that we want to see on screen. If we know what's coming, we're anticipating it. I still cry at the end of Return of the King. How many times have we all seen Return of the King on those 6 endings? We all still cry, even though we know it's coming. Because you cannot disrespect the fandom. We know what's coming, so give it to us in the best way forward. Stop playing mystery boxes. Stop trying to trick us, or don't let us get ahead of the show. You want us ahead of the show, I promise you. Simon likes mysteries, yes, but J.R.R. Tolkien did not, and neither did Christopher, and neither did Priscilla, his two of his children. Patrick McKay says, we're doing the same thing with Sauron in season 2 that we did with Galadriel in season 1. Who is Galadriel? Where does she come from? What did she suffer? Why is she driven? For season 2, they're doing the same thing with Sauron. And this supports all of the rumors that we've been reporting here, that season 2 is basically a retelling of season 1, but from Sauron's perspective. So for season 2, we're doing the same thing with Sauron. We'll fill in all the missing pieces. Sauron can now just be Sauron, like Tony Soprano or Walter White. He's evil, but complexly evil. And I hope the showrunners understand. He's evil. Sauron is evil. He's not a tragic figure. He's not Walter White. I think if Walter White is your star, is your North Star for Sauron, I think you might have Sauron wrong. We'll see. Season 2. I'm looking forward to it. Here we go. Jennifer Hutchinson, the writer of episode 2 and episode 8. 2 of the most important Haladriel episodes. She says, this is what we've been doing all season. By combining our powers, look at what we've achieved. We could do so much more together. Folks, this is a Haladriel nod. Look at this. The writer of episode 2 and episode 8 says the whole theme of Sauron and Galadriel teaming up is look at what we've achieved. By combining our powers, we could do so much more together. The intent of the show was to have Sauron and Galadriel together as a couple. And there it is, in her own words, from Jennifer Hutchinson. I'm telling you, this article is one of the most important articles that you can bookmark and keep referring to because there's a lot of it. Introducing Sauron. We began filming before telling Charlie Vickers he was Sauron. Only after filming episode 2 did we tell him that he was Sauron. And then episodes 3 through 8, he was fully aware. Imagine not trusting your main actor with the information that he's playing Sauron. Imagine being an actor and being told after you've done this giant 2-episode premiere. Only after that are you told, oh, by the way, hey, you're really Sauron. As an actor, I'm not an actor, I am sure an actor would be discouraged and disappointed to feel lied to that he wasn't told what character he's actually playing until episode 3 was filming. This dedication to secrecy and mysteries and mystery boxes, it has to go away. I'm telling you, the show is season 2 is dead in the water if there are any more mystery boxes. That's not what this should be. So, There's a ton more in this article, and we can talk about it. Including Patrick McKay saying, "Hey, how did you? Hey, we love the idea that in Terminator 2, you think Arnold's a villain, and then you find out Arnold is the good guy in Terminator 2." Read into that what you want. We also talk about their romanticist, classical, and Baroque artistic inspirations for some of the things that they were doing. I don't think the execution was that well, because this does not look like that. The Raft of Medusa by Géricault. I think they missed the mark a little bit. And I don't know. This article just talks about Mithril, talks about how the witches aren't dead, talks about Numenor and how introducing Elendil was supposed to evoke Lawrence of Arabia. I've never even connected the concept of Elendil, one of the statues of Argonath. I've never connected Elendil with the concept of Lawrence of Arabia. So that's an interesting tell. So there's a lot in this article. The School of Athens, by Raphael, was an inspiration for the concept of Numenor. There's just a lot in this article that explains a lot to do. So I highly recommend going to the onering.net, search for Rings of Power Secrets. So that is what I have. And of course, there was the Tom Bombadil rumor. So there we go. Rings of Power. That's the big rumor for today. Burns is the new character. I think on a future episode, we're going to gather up all of the rumors so far for season 2. And there have been a lot. Shelob, Eagles, Tom Bombadil, 3 Saurons. We know 2 of them already. Celeborn's coming back. We might know his actor. Rune, Gandalf, Stores. No, Fallowhides. Remember that rumor? There's been a lot of rumors going on for season 2, so there's a lot to look forward to for 2024. I think I'm done talking. I appreciate. Let me check in with the chat. I appreciate you guys for staying on target during today's show. Is this Tom Bombadil? Is Burns Tom Bombadil? I don't. That's an interesting take. Is this Tom Bombadil? Gabriel Akawidiki. Is this Tom Bombadil? That's an interesting rumor from the chat. That's an interesting casting choice. Not Glorfindel, but Bombadil. Thank you, Susan, for keeping up. Because Clifford's not here, I got to talk a lot about Haladriel. And as you know, if you play along every week, we have a drinking game. Every time I mention Haladriel, you take a drink. And so I'm sorry for getting everybody drunk today. So yeah, Anonymous Girl. I forgot all about the Mystics and Witches. And look, in that article, the showrunners confirmed that the witches aren't dead, but the Harfoot is. Man, there's a whole conversation to be had. Jeff Scott is saying hi from Kiwiland. Hello, Jeff Scott, friend of the show. Love to see you here in the chat room. I'm sorry, Clifford isn't here to say hi. So anyway, that's the top posts of this year. I also looked at our YouTube stats. Our top two shows of last year featured when was the when Nerd of the Rings was a guest here on the show, and we were at Scum and Villainy Cantina. That was a lot of fun. That was our number 1 show of the year, and our number 2 show of the year was when Tea with Tolkien defended her thesis and talked about her season 1 review of Rings of Power. It's a wonderful conversation. If you go to Tea with Tolkien's website, you can read her full review. I believe it's on YouTube as well. But we had a wonderful conversation. The archive is up at youtube.com/theoneringnet. And you can watch our conversation with Tea with Tolkien as she talks about her honest review of Rings of Power Season 1. And as you know, she's one of the biggest fans. But does she have a Haladriel t-shirt? Does she have a Rings of Power? Let's go solo. Does she have a Rings of Power embroidered jacket? Ooh, look at that. Look at that Rings of Power embroidered jacket. Does she have the Rings of Power Echo speaker? Amazon, I know you're listening to everything I say. You definitely are. Does she have a Rings of Power case? Leather satchel? Look at that. Embossed in the leather. Rings of Power. I think you can see that. The annoying part is this is just too small for a laptop, for a 10-inch MacBook Pro. So I can't even fit my MacBook Pro in it, but it is it's a Kodiak branded leather satchel. I think people would love this. There's a pocket on the back as well, but yes, that is a Rings of Power. This, and then of course there was this. No one else has this. Elvish. Look at that. Look at that. They sent me a copy of the book to read. And I couldn't find any mention of the Mithril story that was in the show. This was a wonderful treat. This really was a wonderful treat. Amazon, I gotta say, Amazon has done right by fans. No matter what you think of the show, Amazon Prime did right by fans, inviting the London 30 on that trip to Oxford, giving fans the first sneak preview of footage at Comic-Con in Hall H, and the trailer reviews, and the actor luncheons, and all the premieres in Mexico and New York and London, and inviting the fans to all of these premieres. Amazon, and look at this merch, man. Like, if Amazon, even if you can't sell this, I think there's a lot of fans that would love this stuff. Maybe you have to qualify for it. Maybe you have to finish season 1 of Rings of Power. Maybe you have to be part of the 37% to qualify for a Rings of Power speaker or a Rings of Power jacket. Maybe that's something they could do for season 2. Would you guys be convinced to finish the whole show if there was a potential reward at the end? Yeah. Have you read it though? Yes, I have. I've read Lord of the Rings. Are you kidding? I read it after I watched the movies from Peter Jackson. I didn't read this. This book is still uncracked. You know that sound that makes when you crack a book spine for the first time? That book is not cracked. So there you go. Well, this was a wonderful conversation. Thank you for being here for Torn Tuesday. I feel like I should have some background music or Return to Moria or a Moria game being played in the corner or something like that. It's way too quiet without someone to bounce off of, like Clifford Broadway. But he'll be back next week, and I will probably be back next week as well for Torn Tuesday. We thank you for all of the clicks this last year. A quiet year that wasn't so quiet, even though we didn't get we got 2 Lord of the Rings video games last year. We got Gollum, we got Return to Moria, but we didn't. We got a ton of news about new movies and season 2 rumors. Season 3 rumors are going to kick into gear. I don't do audiobooks. For some reason, I like audiobooks is like talk radio to me. I can't do it, man. Like I need some more stimulation when I'm working, like a beat, like a music beat. I can't even sit in traffic and like listen to an audiobook. Like it just in one ear out the other. Like I don't know, my attention span does not allow me to consume audiobooks or talk radio. No Green Dragon gossip. Here's the thing. I have Green Dragon gossip, but I need Cliff to react to it. And he has Green Dragon gossip, and he needs me to react to it. So it's not very fun if I just tell you what it is and then sit here and wait the 90 seconds it takes for everybody to receive the video signal. It just doesn't work. So we're going to wait for Green Dragon gossip. But I fully expect Nerd of the Rings, while he's in New Zealand right now, to get some Green Dragon gossip while he's on the ground in Middle Earth. So there you go. Oh, speaking of, that's it. Spartan343 mentions, you can't listen to Christopher Lee narrate Children of Huron. Ooh, that would be fun. Look, and Andy Serkis is a good voice actor. I will say this: the final thing, the breaking news that I just saw on Twitter right before the show, the Screen Actors Guild has approved a tentative contract with a AI voice company. So I believe this year we're going to see some movement in using AI, artificial intelligence reconstructions of voices, and maybe even voices from dead actors like Christopher Lee. Could animated movies like War of the Rohirrim feature Saruman with an AI version of Christopher Lee's voice? Would we accept that as fans? That's for a future discussion. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for the wonderful discussion about Gabriel and his rumored Glorfindel glory. I'm looking forward to whatever role he ends up being in Season 2 of Rings of Power, and so much more. We will see you next week on Torn Tuesday, theonering.net, here every week. Make sure you subscribe. I want to get my subscribers up. Nerd of the Rings just hit 1 million. We're nowhere near 100,000 yet, but we can get there. So hit that like and subscribe. Don't even hit like, just hit subscribe, because then you can turn notifications on. So when we go live, you get the notification on your phone. All right. Till next time, we'll see you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. As Clifford Broadway likes to say, good night and good luck. Or better yet, buenos noches y buena suerte. See ya.